My dreams are nightmares. How can I sleep? You got the gun against me.
What's going on, everybody? King of Dragons 5000 here, coming at you with another figure review. Today we'll be having a look at the Mattel WWE Elite Collection Retrofest Mr. Perfect. And so here we have the Retrofest Mr. Perfect posing out of the packaging. Before we take a look at the figure, let's actually take a look at what he comes with. Mr. Perfect does come with two accessories. We get his signature towel, which does look really nice. I am glad it is a soft goods material. And then we also do get the classic Intercontinental title. Other than that, Mr. Perfect doesn't come with anything else. Unfortunately, he doesn't come with alternate pairs of hands, but he does come with the Real Effects face printing, so I am happy about that. So, with that out of the way, guys, let's actually take a closer look at Mr. Perfect. And so here we have a closer look at Mr. Perfect, and I think this is the best rendition of Mr. Perfect that we've gotten from Mattel by far. There's a lot of things to like about this figure, and one of them being this really awesome head sculpt. It does look a lot like Mr. Perfect. Now, unfortunately on mine, you can see it does have some paint left over from the hair. It looks like some residue just fell on and they try to wipe that off, but at least it's not on the main part of his face, so that's where I'm happy. You can see it's also on this side, which is a little bit annoying, but overall, as long as it's not on the main part of his face, I'm perfectly fine with that. And like I said, this is probably Mattel's best outing for Mr. Perfect. It does look a lot like him. They did a really good job capturing the likeness of Kurt Hennig here, especially with his hair. They did a really nice job with it. The perfect length and the perfect shade, honestly. And it does appear that there is a little bit of shading throughout his hair, so that's one thing I really do like, when they go that extra mile and add some shading. So overall, this face is by far better than anything we've ever seen come out of Mattel. So really happy we do have this face sculpt. Now, we do have this attire for Mr. Perfect. Now, I don't ever remember him wearing this particular ring gear. I mainly remember him wearing the two-tone, either black with a color on the back or color in the front and then black in the back. So this is a little bit odd to me. It's not that I don't like it. It's just different from what I'm used to seeing on a Mr. Perfect figure. It's still a really good ring gear for him. It does look really nice, and I think the black singlet is something I prefer on Mr. Perfect rather than his multicolored ones, but that's honestly just me. I do like the fact that they went with the Daniel Bryan arms. These do look really nice on him. They're not like the Dolph Ziggler arms where he's overly vascular, because Mr. Perfect wasn't a vascular person. He was just a really fit, in shape person, and I think these arms are perfect for that. You can see he does have white wrist tape, which is pretty accurate to what Mr. Perfect would be wearing. So really, really like the singlet. The ring gear does look perfect on him. Going down to his legs, one issue I've always had with Mr. Perfect figures, and this also stems with the body, is he comes off too thin. Now, I know that might sound a little bit odd, but Mr. Perfect, though he was a slender guy, he was a little bit on the chunky side. I don't mean that in a bad way, but he was a little bit thicker than this. If his, what are these? His, I don't know what these muscles are called right here on the side, but if they just came straight down and he had a little bit wider torso, I think that would look so much better, because they did improve some areas on this figure. If you recall my Heenan Family 4-pack review, Mr. Perfect had these really skinny legs. The knee pads didn't sit right with it. They actually bulked out his legs so the knee pads actually sit better, and I really do like how this looks in comparison to that old figure, which it's just night and day. As you can see with that old figure, he had really skinny legs. This one has really thick legs, and this is the way Mr. Perfect is supposed to be, because he was a little bit on the thicker side. I'm not saying he was fat or anything, but he did have thick legs and an overall thicker torso. You can see he does have the Mr. P right here on his boots, so those do look nice. And of course, it's not Mr. Perfect if he's not wearing these really nice pristine white boots. So overall, like I said, it's not my favorite ring gear, and I don't know if Mr. Perfect actually wore this particular ring gear or if this was just for a video game, but I do prefer the two-tone singlet like we have here, but Instead of the color and black, I prefer the black on as a main, and then the color right here on the back. I don't know, that's mainly how I was used to seeing them, I guess. But anyway, that's it for Mr. Perfect here, which, like I said, they did rectify a lot of issues that they had with the previous Mr. Perfect figures. So what we're going to do now is actually compare them to other figures you may have in your collection. Here we have Mr. Perfect posed next to an Ultimate Edition's Brock Lesnar and a basic Jeff Hardy. And finally, here we have Mr. Perfect posed next to the Heenan family 4-pack Mr. Perfect. So with the comparisons out of the way, let's actually move on to Mr. Perfect's articulation. He does have the standard elite articulation, which is a ball joint here in the head, which he doesn't look up all too well and he doesn't look down, mainly because of how low his head sits on that neck. It does make it for a more accurate Mr. Perfect, but you can see we don't get too much up and down movement. He of course does turn left and right, and because of how low his head sits, his jowls here will interfere with side-to-side articulation, but we do get some pretty decent tilt for a WWE figure, so I do like that. Arms are on ball joints. They do go out to the side. They go all the way around. Works no problem. We have a bicep swivel, which works fine. Unfortunately on mine, the right bicep swivel is really loose. He can barely even support the weight of the towel, but once you get to a certain point, it actually holds. It's just loose right here. So yeah, I might have to hit that with some joint fix, although I might do a fix-up on his entire arms later. We'll see what we can do. He does have single bend in the elbow going to 90 degrees, which is standard for WWE figures. We do have swivel and hinge at the wrist. No issues there. We have an ab crunch which goes back and forward. Pretty good range there. We do have a swivel at the waist. Legs do kick forward to about 90 degrees. Go back. Out to the side, no problem. Swivel here at the thigh. We do have double bend at the knee. As you can see, the knee pad will hinder some articulation. We have a swivel at the boot. A hinge in the ankle going back and forward. And then finally, we do have rocker ankle. So overall, really do like the articulation here on Mr. Perfect. So what we're going to do now is get him posed for my final thoughts, and then we'll wrap up this review. And so here we have the Elite Collection Retrofest Mr. Perfect posed for my final thoughts. And overall, I am really glad I picked this figure up. He doesn't come with the alternate hands, which I think is a must for all WWE figures. But like I said, it is an easy fix, and I'm going to probably do that in an upcoming fix-up episode. Other than that, this is still a very good Mr. Perfect figure. This is one figure that I honestly was going to pass on, but seeing him on the Target website for months at this point, I decided to pull the trigger when I actually purchased Eddie Guerrero. I purchased Mr. Perfect alongside him, and you know what? I do not regret a single moment of that purchase, only because this is a really nice figure. This is probably one figure that a lot of people are either sleeping on or they have no idea exists. Now, this is one of the better Mr. Perfects that Mattel has ever released in the line, so I'm really happy I do have this version of Mr. Perfect in my collection. Like I said, I was sleeping on this figure for a really long time, and being part of the WrestleFest, which was originally a GameStop exclusive line, it was later moved to a Target exclusive. However, Target is really bad with their exclusives, and the WrestleFest unfortunately never saw shelves in my area, so I did have to pick up Mr. Perfect online. This is a really great figure, especially if you're a fan of the WWE during the golden age or the new generation, because Mr. Perfect was a pivotal player in some of the feuds with Bret Hart and Ric Flair. So if you need a Mr. Perfect in your collection, definitely pick up the WrestleFest Mr. Perfect. This is the best version of Mr. Perfect that Mattel has ever produced, and I'm really happy with this purchase. He will unfortunately cost you $25. However, I did get him on sale for $20, so do be aware that you might be able to get this guy on sale if you do have him on your wish list on the Target website. Like I said, do not sleep on this figure. If you are a fan of Mr. Perfect, Kurt Hennig, or just want a really nice figure in your WWE collection, you're gonna want to pick up this version of Mr. Perfect. With that being said, guys, I'm KingofDragons 5000. Don't forget to like this video, leave a comment, subscribe to my channel. Go check out all my other action figure reviews as well as all my other WWE videos. Hopefully you find them informative. As always, if there's a figure you would like to see me review, let me know down in the comments, and if it fits in my collection, I'll definitely have a look at it. While you're at it, check out my Instagram account for new and exciting action figure photos, and as always, ring that bell to be notified every time I upload a video. Until next time, guys, I'll see you later. Take care, everyone.